Good morning, everyone. Well, all the metals going up, copper breaking out this morning. It's been going up for a while, but this one, well, from back here on the weekly chart is certainly up a heck of a lot, but it's based on the daily here. It just starting to break out of about a 2, 3 week consolidation, and would assume like the others, it's going to catch up and continue to go higher. I was just mentioning to Dan that, and there's a lot of talk about this one now. Um, I didn't want to type that. PX copper miners. They've been up a bunch. So look, these are extended. We have to wait, and you can see the weekly chart. Problem, we're not finding many patterns like this. Back here, this was, I think, around the time gold was consolidating too. Maybe that was a little further back. I forget. We covered that at the time. Um, but prices on, you just got traders, institutions, short covering, getting in, fear of missing out. They're just running up and getting extended. And we don't buy things that are far from any support or without having a correction bar. But clearly, there's things going on here that others are going to chase this up. And at some point, what always happens, it pulls back. But we'll see how long it goes on for. You probably know gold is continuing its advance. Uh, it's just consolidating a little bit here on the 5 minute chart. 5,000, 51, 2, 3 in a short amount of time. Is that extended? It is. But you got to be a fool to get in front of it if for some reason you think it's got to come down and you think about shorting something like this. Um, don't do it. Uh, who knows? Could it go to 6,000? Sure. But anyway, like I mentioned yesterday or the day before, when you see something going like up like that, does it close below a prior day's low? I mean, that simple rule will at least give you a reference point to place a stop legitimately than thinking, oh, it's up a lot, and you see something on a 5 minute chart or a 30 minute chart, some kind of a reversal. Anyway, as an intraday traders, we have the software to place stops that'll take us out automatically. But those that don't adhere to that, this is how people get taken out. Just thinking something went up too much, and there's silver, $120. I mean, a few days ago, there was talk, oh, it's finally gotten to 100. Maybe it's going to stall. And there's 120. And if you're reading what's going on, talk about China, deliveries, all kinds of speculation about what's driving it and when it's going to come down. But I mean, look at the weekly chart. Now there's clearly a wide range bar. Um, does that suggest slowing momentum? Yeah. But yesterday we talked about momentum slowed because there was a wide range bar on the daily, and now it's breaking out again. Um, so at some point, we know these things always come back down to earth, but it ain't happening now, and there's nothing to stop it from going up. So just track prior days lows. Look at these moving averages, how they're starting to go straight up. Well, the 20 is, those that may put a 10 on there or whatever they're going to put, or 5. It's just starting to move with the prices as it has to. So they're all going higher. What isn't going higher, and it's just interesting, Bitcoin. And so if you follow the chatter, which is a lot of it on X, formerly Twitter, um, and there's so much on social media today, you don't even know if it's true anyway, but there's so much talk about billions of in Bitcoin that's being sold. I think to myself, okay, maybe that's true, but it ain't going down. So that means somebody's buying it. Nonetheless, it's going sideways and there's nothing to do here but look at it bar by bar, let pivots form, and let's, like I'm waiting to see. I mean, we participated a little bit in this move with some stocks and ETFs, and it looked like it was coming up here. And this is a clear reason why we have stops, because what looks great, and it's a bottoming pattern, they have a tendency to do this, but when they have consolidations for about a couple of months, they tend to go up toward resistance areas like here, and it just couldn't do it. So yes, there's being taken advantage of these advances, but so far it's holding support. We continue to monitor it to see, is it going to break or what's going to happen? There's Erythium. Uh, so just consolidating, and a lot of things are consolidating. So while the S&Ps, which we're going to look at, pierce through 7,000, most things just aren't moving lately. So these aren't moving. On the other hand, you know, Venezuela, remember Venezuela? And oil is ripping to the upside. Uh, and you can see, look, you're always looking over to the left there. It's coming up into some resistance there. But this was we talked about this sloppy little, I refer to these as like a hook pattern, not really like a clean setup nonetheless. This is now ripping to the upside. Yeah, Iran noise. I mean, there's just so much noise. I mean, we deal with noise, news all the time. But hey, Trump, you can hate him, you can love him, you can whatever. But someone said to me the other day, um, oh, he's making the markets crazy, this and that, the other thing. Why couldn't, it's interesting what this fellow said to me. It was like, but he's not going about it in, I guess, a traditional way. I forget exactly what he said. And I was like, that's why we voted for him, right? Because we were tired of the traditional BS that we get from politicians and we want to change. And there's a big change going on. And now it's not so much to our liking as to all of the things that are happening and the turmoil and so on. But it'll settle down. You got to believe that. Otherwise, you know, that's what we have to deal with the situation. It's copper. These are the mini copper. Um, and, you've got NASDAQ futures here, inside day. You go from here to here, takes out resistance, momentum's going to slow. So, just not really, it's just marking time here. It would make sense to see some type of a pullback or consolidation. So again, we'll just see how this day ends itself. S&Ps inside day just rattling around back and forth here at this resistance area. Marking time. Let's look at spiders. So there's yesterday, it gapped up, and yesterday morning I talked about potential, gap and crap. And what is, I was asked, what does that mean? I was like, okay, it's novice gap. It's up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever days, gapping up to a new all-time high. And crap, meaning, it's going to come down. It didn't come down in a meaningful way. It didn't even violate yesterday's close, the prior day's close, let alone close below it. So if you visualize this on a line chart, it's just making higher highs, higher lows. And, this morning, you can see where it is. It's just trading inside of that range. It's going nowhere. Now, assuming, it goes sideways here another day, once you have a third day going sideways, right, it's consolidating. And intraday, it's building a base, which you can see there on the 65-minute chart. So building a base after a move up communicates that there's relatively strong demand. And while it's not going up, it's not going down. And generally, traders look to buy pullbacks after a run up like that to get long the strength, expecting it to go higher. Well, look, as it goes sideways for a while, you start shifting from pullback buys to breakout buys. And it builds let's just call it a launching pad to where it can go higher, where it kind of works off the short-term move to the upside that's extended. But if it breaks below that area, especially after 3 days, it tends to be a good intraday shorting opportunity for those that are trading intraday, trading the futures. But yet we've got to see how this plays out. And you have the weekly chart scrunched up here, but it's in an uptrend. We had this whip reversal, and we got today and tomorrow to see where this plays out. With that up move, and here's SPX. With that up move, it's interesting that the put strike, I think this is the second or third day it hasn't moved much from where it is. So I always think to myself, oh, what does that mean? That put strike isn't coming up as the market goes up. Well, you don't have traders buying more puts. There isn't that demand for it. Otherwise, if there was, the premium would increase. And this came down a little bit. I think 5 strikes from yesterday. And yesterday was believed it's not going to get up there because it's up against the whole number, in addition to gapping up after several days higher. So that bearishness that would typically lift this up isn't there. So, I mean, there's over enthusiasm as far as it going up, maybe. I posted a chart yesterday in the Telegram chat. If you're not part of that chat, you don't have to be a subscriber. We have a chat channel that we update trade ideas. Dan, if you could post that link if you have it in social media for anybody. In the green room, we're talking all day, but if you want to get in there. And I posted a chart there last night of the breadth, which you can see here. This little red chart, the AD line, and here's the longer term McClellan oscillator. And so what I mentioned was, hey, this is going up several days in a row, and breadth is going down. Historically, that's not a good sign. And so does it mean it's going to crash down? No, it does not. But, we look at things objectively, and while it was going up, like, well, wherever, I'm not going to scroll back to take too much time, but it was hanging up near the highs, going sideways. And I mean, breadth was consistent versus this is going up. So in other words, it's things are going up, the same old theme of it's going up on fewer stocks, not so much the Magnificent Seven, but others. And we look at the equally weighted, you see it pushed up, and that's rattling around. But money is rotating again into some of the underperforming. This is the NASDAQ ETF equally weighted. You see that broke out to a new all-time high there. This is a new position in the ETF letter that broke out. And so nice consolidation, and that is supportive that, right, what else can we think other than it's going to continue to go higher? So we're monitoring that to see, does it continue bar by bar, continues to move up. So that's a positive, and there are other things that are not so positive. And I guess that's always the way, but the takeaway here is that the divergence between what's not so good and what's good is pretty wide, and that's unusual. Right? Interest rates. There's a sell setup. That's the 10-year bond, and it's a pattern that suggests it's going to go down. You got a big topping pattern. You got a breakdown. You got a retest of where it broke down from. I'm surprised it's not going down more already, but there you have it. And so are these going to continue to go down? Well, let's see if it triggers. In other words, if that goes down, the inverse relationship is interest rates have to go up. And so there's the reverse of it. And so we have gold going up, the dollar going down, inflation If these interest rates start going up, you start thinking, how long can this market stay elevated before it starts to correct? Well, as long as it's going to, right? It's not for us to uh, decide to do something until we have a signal, and we don't have that yet. So we have concerns, what I just mentioned, markets are still in the buy the dip mode. And I continue to look around. Mid caps still look great. Mid caps look good. Um, there's the dollar breaking down. I'm sure everybody's seen that chart. Uh, the breakdown is beginning to stabilize now. It's down a whole bunch in a few days. Uh, Semiconductors is the day chart, pre-market chart rattling around, coming off here, but up near the highs. So it's all about AI and semiconductors. And as I'm thinking about it, I think Caterpillar reported, and my thought, thinking with Caterpillar, because this has been going up because of construction of these data centers, how is this going to react to its earnings? And it's not ripping higher. It's just up a little bit, but nice solid uptrend, nice consolidation, bullish price action. And as long as this can stay above here, the trend is up. We assume it's going to continue to go up. All right. Silver up again and extended. Yeah. Don't short things that are extended, because I'm sure there are people that are getting their heads handed over to them thinking that, this had to come down if they didn't have a stop. And other than that, we're just going to see how this day shapes up. But I mean, there's the other thing, like something that's not doing so good financials based on, if you look at the stocks in there, stocks that are going down are related to Trump talking about putting caps on credit cards that they can charge. Now, JP Morgan is down on support. So I want to see if this can start percolating up. It might be something to consider for day trading. Since it's in a downtrend, we could do counter trend trades. And this the idea of building a support area. Before I was talking about 3 days or more on the S&P. Well, here's 3-4 days building a base on the 65-minute chart. So for day traders, sometimes this can pop up a little bit. Well, yours, Dan.
Sounds good. See the Q's deteriorating a little bit here pre-market. We had 3 fangs last night. We will take a look at earnings. There's a bunch of them. But as always, I do alarms first, both for opens and new trades. The lemonade, we did a half lot yesterday. You can do the other half over yesterday's high. That is a picture perfect buy setup. Small gap down failure, blast, pullback, reversal, minor support, bullish weekly, relative strength was the best long yesterday I could find. Or one of you found it for me in the green room. Paul up alarm. We're still in this. We're in this and gold. Incredible runs here. Wow. And that's it on alarms. Now let's go right to earnings. Tesla. So that's a put spread idea. Today's Thursday, so it'd be 1 DTE. Gapping up here, needs to hold right around here, and then 30-minute high. Microsoft's getting whacked. Or wow, that's near the prior low. It's a ugly gap, but excessive at a prior low. So that's a put spread watch, 30-minute high. And I love how the news, I mean, whenever something, they don't know what to type. So on the lower third of the TV, they say Microsoft's down despite beating earnings. Why? There's nothing useful with that statement, and it's not very intuitive either. All right, this NDAC, I just had an alarm go off. This is one I said yesterday. We could trade up or down. Up or down, breakout failure, 100% retracement, and going sideways with a void up or down. So that now it looks like a call spread. I got, obviously I got both of these in my other computer, so I'll put index there. LRCX is bullish, gapping up a bit, but no pattern. NOW was down worse. I saw it down a lot. 120, that's no pattern. We actually traded that little bounce in the green room there as a Climo. Right, Meta, incredible move into earnings. And now an incredible gap up. I mean, that is so bullish pre-market. But ideally, it gets up here to 750. So if it keeps rallying into the 10 a.m. reversal, I'll be looking for it to stall around 750 for a 1 DTE call spread. This would have been a put spread, but for the gap down, that's an ugly gap. Has room to fall, but I don't like the setup. You can, check the cousins. Wins gapping down in sympathy. No pattern. MGM. That was a short yesterday that we missed. CLS, no pattern. IBM 317, excessive. So I can't do anything with it. But a put spread on a pullback. Whiskey Mike, call spread if there's any juice. This was a strong trucker. That's a big old gap. So that's a call spread idea. Just because it's bullish but excessive. Whirlpool. I was hoping it was going to open at 72. Look at that. If that were to open down here, that would have been a nice gap and snap, but it's already recovering a bit. Charlie Papa, railroad, opening flat. So under yesterday's low, call spread. E-Tech, I don't see where it's opening. Hexel, nothing. Raymond James, nothing. I don't look at all the trades crazy with all those overlapping bars. MTH, put spread. I would love for that to gap down to 66 and then 30-minute high, but yesterday's high. Feel it's okay for a bounce. Gap into 48. Bearish gap. Lester, another. Lester, I thought this was a trucker. Is it Landstar? That's opening. It shows it down a $1.50. I don't see any pattern. BBT, regional bank. That's opening flat. Nothing. I'm going fast here to try to find the top ones. All right, this looks great over yesterday's high. I can't tell where it's opening. But that I like. That's a tier 1. AXS. I'm gonna set an alarm at 104.20. And if it does gap there and not be excessive, then you could buy either 5-minute high or yesterday's high. That looks good. Trent, MA, yeah, that was on my put spread watch. 535. Directional also. That's a big move down. So yeah, I like that. I'll put it here in the middle chart, my bottom right chart. URI 855. That's a bearish gap. Come back. Plexus. I don't see any prints. That's I like the moving average relationship here. All rising and it's building support. That would be a great put spread over yesterday's high. I'm gonna set an alarm 8620. Shows a gap and down on the dime. Set cues at the low here. Yeah, remember I said in the green room, and after the announcement yesterday, I'm like, is that all the whip we're getting? And then I read a couple headline stories today. They were saying the same thing, that it's unusually non-volatile reaction. All right, this is a buy setup greater than 100% retracement. Target, 2200. So it's just a trade. Pattern. There's MA cat. Yeah, cat's in my list there. Put spread ideas, but he's going to be spreading, so I'm not going to even look for a while. Now SAP is a bearish gap, but it's possible excessive. So that's that. This is the oracle of Europe. That's a big old gap. So let's see if buyers want to step up for a bounce. Look at our oracle is weak, gapping down a little with it and sympathy. This oracle's been weak, I think, for overspending on AI and the way they were leasing them, and it was stupid, losing money in their bonds. I think are rated junk or something on the AI bonds. 580, that's a bearish gap. Tomorrow we'll come back, maybe 30-minute high. Honeywell's too extended, gapping up a little bit. LMT's a 613, possible. I would have preferred gapping a 640, but possible 1 DTE. All spread. Papa Hotel 945. Bullish gap, but no pattern. Possible put spread. It's opening flat, nothing. I'm going fast here, you all. Mighty Mo is ugly gap down. All right, I'm gonna go focus on my alarms. NVIDIA is a 1 DTE put spread and 30-minute high, possible directional. We were watching that yesterday. My alarm went off. AXS alarm. That's the one I said, shoot, I was hoping it would open flat. That's the one I said was my favorite long, and again, messed it up. Darn it. So nothing I can do about it. Netflix and Microsoft. Netflix looks like a short. That's ugly. Look, all this started when they wanted to buy Paramount or whatever. That's ugly. Mike, that's ugly. Now it's taking it out. Look at it. That's ugly. And that has a void too. But daily's not in alignment with the weekly to enter. Here's the problem. All right, bottom right, MA. That's a beautiful gap. If someone wants to look for a put spread, AD line gap up to 900, which is impressive. I know him, he's gonna be spready and I'm busy here, so if somebody else wants to look. All right, R&R up alarm over, we were looking at that one yesterday, Charlie Mike. Ah, nice, Sam, this is yours, Charlie Mike. It closed neutral yesterday, but there, my up alarm went off, so good. I will reset the alarm now. Ninety, 94.80. Let's see our cost basis. Yeah, so we're all right, so yeah, Charlie Mike looks great. AXX or Galaxy. We had a put spread on this. Shoot. Let's do stop 5-minute low. Yeah, Cypher was a put spread idea over yesterday's high. I don't know what you want to do with it right now, Thomas. SEIC alarm. Ah, that was, well, no, that wasn't a favorite. But that's the one I said, a no-brainer put spread over yesterday's high with the gaps too big, lemonade. All right, lemonade, we can buy it over 92.62 back half. QQQE. And Alex, you were laughing at my exit yesterday at 107. Um, Had a low alarm go off, but nothing to do. The ETF letter. MA, make it 520. Uh, Let me check the spreads. But you know what, Trent? A second reason that I like doing spreads. Yeah, see, you're playing with fire, in my opinion, because the spreads are 63 by 175. But again, what I was going to say was the second reason. And my alarm just went off, Alex. Jemiah 1310. So anyway, what I was going to say was it's easier to get filled at midpoint on a spread in my experience because the computer's making a spread on both of them. Jemiah, yeah, we're already in Jemiah, but yeah, finally it's moving. My up alarm went off, so finally, yeah. Man, my trade station is incredibly slow. Right, so now it can stop 12:46.
Views are coming down to that minor support on the daily chart. Semiconductors are moving lower. Probably not going to stop there. Maybe in the short term it will. For the moment. Russell and Dow are showing relative strength.
Index, see, I said you could play it up or down. And low alarm went off, but check puts. Yeah, below is on my put spread list. So 90. No, there's no weeklies on index. That's so ridiculous. Below is way too whippy for directional. Look at that. There's no pattern. It's like a big, nasty bull rectangle. So unless you're talking about a 182 put spread, I don't like that day or swing right here until it tightens up. At the 182.50, 3 cents by 84. So forget that idea. Of course, alarm. Well, Brent, yeah, I mean, it's just that when the spreads would be a veto for me. The spreads were a problem. EXS. All right, so I'm caught up on alarms.